All right.
I want everybody's attention. The next song will be played for fine ladies only.
I can't hear it. I can't hear nothing. I can't hear nothing, buddy. I couldn't hear the music, and I can hear myself now. All right.
Hello.
Did we go in bumperless?
Checking.
Ah, okay, cool. Well, no, it's okay. I get it.
Should we be able to hear ourselves?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should be. Can you hear
I
yourself?
can't hear myself now.
Okay.
I mean, I can hear myself.
I can
hear myself.
Here, crank up the headphones, buddy. Okay. This is the song.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Well, we'll work on your headphones right now. Hey, everybody. Little chaos as normal. Welcome to This Pink Cloud Season 2, Episode 19. If you're listening to this, you can always see the visual at thispinkcloud.com. If you go to thispinkcloud.com, it'll route you to our YouTube page. Be sure and hit subscribe while you're there. Also want to give a shout out to, hey, I just went deaf in my headphones. Are we? All right. Anyway, I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. Weston, you got it all figured out, bud? Yes. Okay.
I got nothing.
Okay. Well, I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just maybe your headphones aren't working. Okay. But anyway, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. That would be... Are you now? I can't hear me. You're moving around cables. All right. Anyway, that would be our sponsor, Summer Sky, which is www.summersky.us. You can reach them at 888-857-8857. Once again, that is summersky.us, 888-857-8857. You got everything figured out, Weston? You will in a second. All right. But anyway, I just in case anybody follows the show out there, we know that the professor, actually my friend Nolan, had relapsed, and he is actually in treatment now. So if anybody is concerned about him, he is in the right place, getting medical detox and working on restarting his recovery again. So, other than that, we also have, I know you're like doing the dance over there, but do you have the shirts where you can pull those up real quick? Okay. We have these groovy new shirts and stickers, of course, that Jim Bob's guarding here. But if you just go to djkellyreverb.com, you can get these shirts right there. There's the front. There's another front, and then I don't know if we have the one I'm wearing. That's the back.
Yeah.
And there we go. That's my favorite one, and that's the one I'm wearing. Hey, but we have a lot of stuff to get to today. I always like it when we have good content to offer the folks out there and to put a spotlight on certain things that are going on in the recovery community. So let me introduce, this would be Chef Justin Box, and then mindfulness trainer, expert extraordinaire, Vanessa Guild. And it's actually spelt Vanessa, and then you'll see that it's VanessaGuild.com, but it's pronounced Guiled because she is from New Orleans, and that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
Good energy.
So what we'll do here is normally we just kind of have each of y'all share your story, and then we'll get to what you're going, what's going on in your life. So we'll hit you up first, Justin.
Okay.
I know you have a colorful story to tell us today, and why don't you just kind of start us off where when you were a young Justin.
When I was a young Justin.
Yeah, and it's an hour show, so
Okay. I'll try to push through this as quick as I can.
yeah, no problem, no rush.
Because I'm good at talking. I guess I could start. It's kind of hard because I don't want to put certain people on blast.
Sure,
Right,
You
so-
share what you want and edit yourself.
So, okay. All right. So I guess when I was little, I had kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air life, right? Like I came from something that was very struggle filled, right? So I came from a pretty crazy place. Lots of things happened around me, things that I witnessed with parental figures and whatever, biological parental figures, and in which I forgive wholeheartedly for everything. I just want to be very clear about that.
Sure.
But things I'm probably not going to disclose on the show, but things happened, and said parental figures and other people felt it'd be right that I went to live with my grandparents.
Okay.
So going from this to this, and then kind of traveling back to that, back and forth, and seeing things. I'll just say it. I would do things like I would go places I shouldn't be going. I would see people I shouldn't be seeing. I would witness things I shouldn't be witnessing.
Right. And what age were you at this time?
I mean, little bitty. I'd have to say probably between like 2, 3, and
Oh, okay.
10.
Yeah, I
10,
gotcha.
Whatever.
Okay.
Getting to go back. Don't know my dad, so I'll just say that it was my mother that I was, and by the grace of God, she's sober today and doing fantastic. She's got a great job. She's living her best life how she can,
Sure.
But she made lots of mistakes,
Mhm.
due to the sickness of alcoholism and addiction. So things I know she didn't wish upon me to see or to witness. But anyway, so we'll move on. Got to go live with my grandparents, and it was almost trying to keep me safe enough, trying to keep me so safe that they almost overdid it, right? Like it was super codependent. I had loads of fear, slept with them until I was in the same bed in between them until I was about 12, right? Because I had this fear of like the unknown coming taking me away, all these things, right?
Sure.
Like, and I believe that we're all kind of predisposed, right? And kids are at risk no matter what, regardless of who they're who they're being brought up with. So mine was just a little tougher.
Right.
So I will say that I was prone to migraine headaches, and I'm going into this to kind of veer into what happened and where I'm at now. But I was prone to migraine headaches, and I've been told by a trauma therapist that they were trauma induced things. I had no control over, whatever. Like we'd have control over them anyway. But I had them so bad that if you basically brush my shoulder, if I saw like a glimpse of light, I'd vomit. I'd projectile vomit. It was like the worst pain I can remember being. I had pretty bad asthma. That was due to my mother smoking while she was pregnant with me, and being in a house full of old Southern women smoking cigarettes inside and like driving me around in the Cadillac with the windows up, smoking out in the car, right?
Yeah,
and,
of
like
course.
these Misty 120s and Saratoga 120s and whatever. And anyways, the headaches were so bad. I can remember I used to have to go in between therapy. I've been in therapy since I was a little bitty. But in between therapy and this neurologist, this little, like a kid's neurologist, they couldn't figure out how to treat them. So I was given, from a very, very young age, I was given Tylenol 3s. right?
Okay.
So like, why would you give a 5, 6, 7-year-old a Tylenol 3? There's codeine in that, right?
Sure.
And, especially coming from a very addicted, drug
Environment,
filled,
yeah,
right.
right.
So I took the I took these Tylenol 3s. I take a half is what I was prescribed when they were really bad. And I can remember one time taking a whole one on accident and
Sure.
being like, shit,
Why?
wow,
Right.
that's different, because my whole life I never felt okay in my own skin. So I remember taking that and being like, wow, you feel okay. I mean, I was the kid that was like, like in class, I would do everything I could to get attention. I was this short, chubby kid with bad hair, bad teeth. My grandmother used to cut my hair, and it was just like crazy. The 80s.
You had the
right?
the Mo or the Pete Rose.
Dude, but worse, right? And I've always had this horrible calic that just like sticks. So I was kind of, I was probably like the annoying kid, whatever, but I can remember just never feeling right, and that was the only way I knew how to get attention, even from the adults in the neighborhood and everybody. It was always like that box kid, and they knew, they'd heard stories about my mother and my uncles and aunts, and like that box kid,
Right.
That box kid.
So you already had
a complex.
You already had the street rep from circa your family a little bit, huh?
I mean, I guess, right? And my grandparents were not very extroverted to the neighbors anyway.
Sure.
So I always wanted friends. So I always wanted to reach out. And then I can remember being so pissed off. This is kind of funny, but I would be so pissed off that I like fart on purpose in front of these girls, right? Just to gross them out, so they would like leave me alone or whatever, and like, and just be. I was just that kid. I didn't have any friends.
Sure.
I got picked on all the time. Bullied. I went to a school in Dallas, Cantwell. I went to a school called Brentfield, and it's fairly kind of affluent kids. I can remember kids talking about like how much money their parents made. They made this much K a year. I'm like, what the fuck is a K, right? Like. And I had a PE coach, and he called me a pill, and I never knew what that meant. And I remember going home just like confused, but kind of questioning, like, why would this guy call me a pill? What does that mean? It's like 3rd grade, and my grandmother was like, well, that's not nice. That means you're annoying. And I was like, well, okay, and I've held resentments against that PE teacher to this day. I never understood why you could do that to a kid.
Sure, you
right?
shouldn't.
Regardless.
Yeah, in that position, yeah.
Right. So, and then I can remember principal saying something to the effect of like, you're just probably better off not here.
Right.
And got bullied, and I ended up fighting back in like, what was it, 5th grade, and hitting a kid in the face. They left me alone, but I ended up just like running halfway home from Brentfield to Richardson around Spring Valley and 75.
Yeah.
And my great grandma, who was like my saving grace, the old heavy Southern woman that smoked the big cigarettes, always wore a muumuu no matter what time of day it was.
Of course.
Always brought like Brahms ice cream to me. She kept me chubby. She kept me warm. She, brought me home, and I ended up going to another elementary school. Anyways, I've kind of got my footing, but still never really felt comfortable, right? I was always like kind of the odd duck. Got into like, metal music and grunge music in 6th grade, shaved my head and like shaved horns into my hair and dyed them red, and like wore my Metallica Kill 'Em All shirt. And like, and I remember the school counselor in like 7th or 8th grade calling my grandmother. The woman I call my mom is my step grandma who raised me.
Okay.
Grandfather's step grandma raised me.
Right.
So, calling her and being like, hey, you should, we have to have a meeting about this boy. We feel like he might be worshiping the devil. And I'm like, so that's weird. I just saw this haircut in a skate video, and I like Metallica. Like that, I don't think that has anything to do with worshiping the devil.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just was, I was always seeking attention, always, kind of running with the wrong people. Being mischievous, but I was always afraid of, like, I hated cigarettes. My mother was an IV user. I hated needle drugs. I hated, I didn't know much about them, but I knew I didn't like it.
Right.
So I guess we'll just jump to like 9th grade. I always had crushes on girls or whatever, and I was like very, I was also very like even like sexually active in ninth grade, and I think this all plays into who I was and what I became. So ninth grade rolled around. I'm kind of shedding weight. I'm getting actual haircuts. I'm getting into like with the skateboard kids and like the alternative punk rock kids or whatever, and I started thinning out, and I started getting, my teeth started getting straight and all this stuff. And I get into high school, and I was like, I guess I was a handsome kid because I just was like,
You were a handsome kid.
you're sweet. But I basically like got into 10th grade, and I remember in ninth grade I started smoking cigarettes. One of my best friends was like, hey man, blah blah blah. We went out in the backyard, and I hated it, but kind of liked the idea, right? And there was this girl that I thought I wanted to impress, so I went to this birthday party in an alley and smoked a clove, which are the most
nice.
well, I think they're like the grossest things on earth, but I did it to impress her, and so that kind of started my smoking career. I was stealing my mom's Saratoga 120s and kidding with my friends, and we had like 18-year-old buddies that were going buying us stuff, but I can remember being like all my buddies started smoking weed and started drinking. And I can remember being like, that shit's going to hurt you. And I was always good at telling on myself. So my relationship with my mom, my step-grandma, again, was very codependent. And it was her idea of love. And believe me, she's like my best friend, my heart.
Sure.
But her idea of love was basically like getting me out of any trouble I got into, picking me up when I fell.
Yeah, so
like
she
enabled.
She was your mother, and that's what they do. They take care of their sons.
And from what I've been told, our parents fuck us up. So to some degree, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean they don't love us. It's just kind of a fact. You can take it how you will. Not saying they did a bad job,
right?
But anyways, never really let me fall. Always enabled me. I hit 16, 17, and the path I started going down, it was a quick, like, from all my friends are going to, go to jail, get in trouble, die, to, like, me jumping right in, in 10th grade, started smoking weed, filming it, doing all this dumb shit, filming it, running around, vandalizing cars, getting really heavy into, like, that. My grandfather, who I couldn't pronounce Pop when I was little, so I called him Potty. So Potty was like, that was his nickname for all the kids. Everybody called him that. And, some people didn't know, thought it was funny because they're like, toilet, that's weird.
Sure. Yeah.
But I would steal his sleeping pills, and we'd snort those because they hit you quicker. And then, like, my buddy started doing coke. And when I was in 11th grade the first time. And I was like, man, there's no way. I'm good with weed. I'm good with beer, with 40 ounces, because I loved, like, drinking 40s. The movie Kids had come out, and I was like, man, I like admired Casper. I had hair. Everybody like said I looked like Casper because of my hair and just the way I dressed and how I acted.
Right.
It's not really an admirable thing, but I was so afraid of all the other shit. And one day I was just like, you know what, fuck it. So I snorted a little coke with my buddy. And from that point, man, it was just like, and I push this all back to, like, the pill thing. Like, I swear that, like, that one Tylenol 3, because I left out the part about how, like, from then on I would take 1 to 2 pills.
Right. Yeah,
even as under 10, right?
Like, because it made you feel funny.
It made
as
me,
a kid whatever. You felt
just,
comfortable.
It made
in
me
your
feel.
skin.
It made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It made me feel okay.
I gotcha.
Right.
I gotcha.
So, and that wasn't all the time. That was like once twice a month when I'd have these horrible migraines.
So you were recreationally,
I guess, but I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah. I got you.
And so anyhow, I 11th grade, I started hanging out by the vending machines. I was rolling up blunts and selling them in the bathroom. Back then it was like $5 a blunt, $10, whatever it was. And then I was hanging out by the soda machines, by the Fanta machines at lunch, and I would hang out all 3 periods. I skipped more school than anything. I started running with.
Well, you had a thriving business going on. It sounds
not
like.
really. I started just like kind of collecting everybody's change. Hey, bump. Let me get your 35 cents from that Fanta. Let me get you 35 cents from that. Blah blah blah. And I would sometimes pull up to $100, and I would go buy a teener of Coke, and we would leave school early, and we would go snort blow till 1, 2 in the morning, go back to school. Got into Rex. I flipped my grandparents' Suburban. people who raised me, my folks suburban, in the middle of the night, my first day of second run around in 11th grade. I got failed one time.
Right.
But I was doing shit like, I would leave class and go sit in this guy's classroom. Later on, I asked him, like, why'd you always let me do that, man, without kicking me out? He was like, because I knew what you were doing outside of school.
Right.
And I was trying to protect you.
Oh.
And like he and I, I'm not going to say his name, but he and I remained friends until today. We're still friends. And he still helps out kids, which is pretty awesome.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I could go on, man.
Right.
But there's,
Okay,
things, examples like breaking into the school stadium and snorting pills off of like a cardboard box on top of the concession stands and like catching the big, what do you call the soccer ball? Like what do you call the paper mache soccer ball with wire that's huge, catching on fire and kicking it down the field and like stealing bowling balls and throwing them through car windows and just like
a good quality
kid.
Right? Yeah, right.
I mean, and there's so much more. I'm probably totally.
Well, no, that's okay. But so basically, then you were off the wheels.
I went to treatment.
Yeah. Now, how old were you when you went to treatment?
I was 18.
Okay.
I went to treatment because I went quickly from. A lot of my friends were already going to prison. And my grandfather, Potty, he was an attorney CPA. And so anytime I got arrested, it was like, he's out. He's out. Called his dogs and I was out. I never had to, pay the price. Yeah. Right. So I continued on.
Yeah.
And I can remember the pill thing picked back up when I was about 16. And I had a buddy whose mom was selling Norco 10s and hydrocodones and Vicodin and Percocets. And I would eat those things like literally 5 at a time until I hit 20. And I'd eat 20 pills a day. I mean, if I could, and I was just eating them. By this point, I started having some problems with my stomach, my liver. And I wonder why. And I was drinking like a madman.
Yeah.
And this is all in high school. So I got to the point where I was like, my folks were like, you can't do this. We took a life insurance policy out on you at 17.
Wow.
At 17.
Sure.
You're going to kill yourself. You're going to end up just like, the person, whatever.
Right.
And they were like, you're going to go to treatment. So they sent me out to Marshall, Texas. I went out to Marshall. This is a fun fact. I went out there. I was there on my 18th birthday. Didn't stay long. I wanted to come home. So what did folks do?
Right.
I was good. I came home. I hung out with one of my best friends. I was like, hey, man, I'm done with all that shit. The pills are horrible. They're bad for you. I'm just going to smoke weed, and I'm gonna convert to Rastafari. And I'm going to become this Rastafarian. I'm going to grow out my dreadlocks because it's kind of punk rock too, right?
Sure, yeah.
There's a band called the Circle Jerks, and he had long dreads. And I'm just going to grow out dreadlocks and just smoke weed and just sit around and live life.
Right.
And that lasted all of about 3 days. And I ended up hitting the pills so hard that one of my really good friends had just gotten out of prison and brought this guy with him who was his cellmate. That story in itself is long and crazy as fuck. But he and I, his name was Daniel McBride. He and I, big Irish guy. He was incarcerated for.
I've heard of that name.
Incarcerated for attempted murder for trying to protect his sister.
Gotcha.
But he was like, hey, man, I know you're having a problem with these pills. There's a drug out there that can help you with this, and it will save your life. And I was like, man, please, because this shit's hurting my stomach. It's I'm stealing them from people, whatever. I was robbing my friends, stealing their guns, like I was doing bad shit. Yeah. And so he was like, methadone. And I was like, oh, he was like, I was on heroin. And it helped me. So if you're on pills, like, you're definitely going to be okay. So I get on methadone, and in Justin Box fashion, I quickly go from like 40 milligrams to 200 milligrams of methadone within like a month and a half, 2 months, right? And these people don't give a shit. Like, they keep you on this stuff. There's not a lot of incentive to help you get off. It's just like the more money that rolls in.
Right.
$12 a dose every day, 40, 50 people in a clinic. Like,
why wouldn't you? Numbers game.
Right, why wouldn't you? So at this point, I'm on like 200 milligrams of methadone. I'm drinking like a maniac, drinking and driving like crazy. I think I had one DWI, and this is not even the meat and potatoes of my addiction, right? Like this is the beginning phase. This is when I can still control it, kind of. But methadone helped me kind of control it. Found Xanax, found sleeping pills. Found wet, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like you found everything.
Yeah, man.
Except for, did you ever IV or
No? So here's
Okay.
so let's just fast forward. I get out of
Yeah.
high school. I'm sitting at the computer table, like a year out of high school. I'm stoned as shit, and I was like, man, I got to do something with my life. I'm gonna go to culinary school.
Right.
So I start reaching out to the CIA in New York. I start reaching out Cordon Bleu in Paris. I got to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to Paris. You know, grandparents can afford it. You know, whatever.
Right,
This is
right.
my thinking. So I contact all these schools, and they're all like, "Sorry, bud, your GPA was trash. Your school, attendance record was trash. Your all of like your whole career in school is
Yeah.
garbage, right? Like you weren't there much." It's like fair enough. So I ended up going to this place called the CCA in San Francisco. They tell me if I'm running over time.
No. Just I mean,
I'll wrap it
we
up
wanna
quick.
get to
Yeah.
minutes.
So I go to the CCA in San Francisco. I meet a woman. She's a dancer. Before I go, she moves out there with me. Our relationship is downright messy the whole time. Like we're fighting. We're both just maniacs. I'm going out smoking crack. That's what I found in San Francisco because
okay.
coke was a Dallas thing.
Well,
I had to-
Coke's a lot more expensive than
I had
crack,
to
too.
move up. I had to
Yeah,
move up.
of course.
While I was there, had a heart attack at 22
Wow.
from smoking crack with this homeless dude. He left me, he threw my pipe down. Or he stole the pipe. He said,
Hey, watch yourself,
greedy
kid.
greedy white bitch is gonna die today or something. And I end up calling the
wow.
ambulance, and thank God I did.
Wow.
What I do, I leave 2 days later when I get out of the hospital in a hospital gown. It's
Yeah.
like 30 degrees, and I go right back to the dope man.
Man. Well, so let's go ahead
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fast forward
Yeah,
to.
fast forward
I mean, when did? Okay, because I know you're. I mean, if you want to give a sobriety date, you can.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I know that you have been sober for a long time.
Sure.
So at what point, or how did? Because I always like to do a little 101. How did you get sober from all that chaos?
Okay.
How did you get there?
Quick notes. I came home. Kicked the lady out that was living with me. Came home, got way worse. Started dating this girl. The guy who got me on methadone's niece.
Okay.
She and I started dating for about 6 years. And she left me in the middle of the night. She was like, this woman that I was madly in love with. It was all very toxic. But she left me in the middle of the night. My very best friend in the world overdosed and died, and everybody blamed me because I got him to get on methadone. So I was blamed to be like the guy who helped murder my best friend.
Right. I got you.
Got to the point where I had monitoring things on. They thought I was going wet, so I was in the hospital, a couple times a week. They had these brain monitoring things on me. I had the beginning stages of cirrhosis. My
Yeah.
liver,
Now, when you say wet, what do you mean?
mentally handicapped. Like
Gotcha.
I was burning out my brain.
Gotcha.
Right. So they were monitoring my sleep. They were monitoring every
I
bit
gotcha.
of everything.
Okay.
So
I just not everybody knows what wet means.
right.
Including myself.
Yeah. It's in the big book.
Gotcha.
Right. So I had the beginning stages of cirrhosis. My liver was sticking out. It was pulsating. It looked like I had a Nerf football in my side. It
Sure.
hurt all the time. My appendix burst in the middle of the night.
Right.
Tried to kill myself, stuck a pistol in my mouth, it clicked, tried again, ended up going through the wall. I thought I murdered my neighbor. I thought I had shot my dog. Ended up calling a treatment center for a year and a half straight. At this point, I couldn't leave my house because I was like basically living in the bathroom, smoking crack on 240 milligrams of methadone and taking Xanax every day. And so at this point, I couldn't leave because I was having such bad DTs and seizures.
Sure.
For about 3 years, I was doing this. And ended up calling a treatment center. About a year after I kept calling, they said, don't call our phone anymore. You're wasting our time. We don't want you here if you're not serious. Like, you've been fucking tying up our phone line, crying, pitiful. I was going to meetings. Finally, they kicked me off the methadone program. They were like, you're really far past gone. You can't be here anymore. You're doing bad things. So I ended up going to treatment, coming home, and I never really looked back.
Wow.
Stayed
That's
sober.
crazy.
Stayed sober. We're not going to get into it, but I was dry for about 7 years.
Yeah.
Living off accolades and just staying busy. And I
Gotcha.
don't suggest that to anybody because I went absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but then now you've kind of
Found the meeting that
Well, I was going to say you not only found other meetings and community, because I always tell people that community is a huge aspect to working your recovery.
Right.
You know, and one of the things that I've stumbled upon was your number one offender program,
Right.
Or meditation group, as you like to call it.
Yeah.
And it's actually out in Richardson, and it's every Sunday. If you want to go ahead and give them a little information.
It's every Sunday at Heights Park in Richardson on the corner of Floyd and Arapahoe is the park. We usually meet in the parking lot, take it to the field if it's a nice day. If it's not, we'll sit under the pavilion.
Right.
But there's breakfast. We'll always try to bring breakfast, something.
Sure.
And we'll typically try to have a facilitator.
Right.
Right.
Well, and then that's what I was going to say. But then also you were mentioning, I think this Sunday you have somebody doing Tai Chi, right?
Yeah, we have a guy named Peter coming out to do Tai Chi. He was a big Tai Chi guy, and
I'll be there.
Peter's great.
Yeah, you know him?
I do.
Yeah, I just met him.
He's an excellent. He's great.
Yeah, so it's just basically trying to find different, and I'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Just trying to find different people to come out and teach different styles of
Right.
meditation.
And if they want to, they can find you on Facebook.
Right.
Correct.
But there's a number one offender, NO.1, like the number sign.
Yeah, it should be
offender.
underneath your name.
Yeah. And look for the group, not the page, because the group is where we post. And I don't typically post a lot of stuff. More people post on that page than I do.
Right.
I just will hit it about a day or two, welcoming everybody to
Sure.
keep the positive mental attitude.
Sure.
And get ready for Sunday. That's
Right.
about what I do. And then there'll be a recap and thanking everybody and whatever.
Cool.
So it's about what it is.
Right on.
If you don't
Well, go ahead.
if you don't mind my last 30 seconds, if I
Yeah,
can,
go ahead, dude.
I want to just, I don't know if we'll get into this, but I mentioned that I was 7 years dry. And my experience was that AA saved my life. Going
Right.
back and stopping, trying to make it all, like to guide everything myself and to take control of everything around me, and finally like giving into an idea that worked for me.
Sure.
And finding the right group, because there's tons
Right.
out there, finding the right AA group, and finding the right sponsor.
I agree, and I love
So-
that you said that, because there's an A group for everything, and finding that right group that you fit in with is key, because if you don't feel comfortable around the people, if it's a bunch of ladies like your step grandmother in muumuus hanging around.
No, that's my great grandmother.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But, you might not feel as comfortable as some other people might.
Right.
So I get it. And, that's what I always encourage people to do if you're trying to explore sobriety or recovery or anything, try it all, man. Try it all until you find your fit.
Yep.
And
My experience has been,
what works for you.
AA has been my saving grace.
Yeah, and that's great. And but I think you're also adding on your own meeting with meditation.
Yeah.
And getting into that meditation now, we will segue to this lovely lady who I've been waiting to talk to, and there might be tears shed because she has that effect on people.
She's good at that.
She's good. Yeah. So it is Vanessa Guild, and if you're on the internet, it is vanessaguild.com, but it is pronounced Guild because she is from New Orleans. But go to her website. It's fantastic how she has it laid out and very entertaining. And she is a trainer and mindfulness facilitator, expert. What would you call yourself?
Definitely a mindfulness trainer.
Okay.
And
you do corporate stuff as well, and as well as individual one-on-one and all of that. So this is your business. This is what you do. This is your vocation, your calling.
This is my calling, and I really appreciate it. Before I do the dive in, if I may,
Yeah,
Kelly,
sure.
just first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you to your sponsors, your people that are putting this on. There's so many people that are suffering right now, especially during the pandemic. The increase in number of people drinking and doing drugs has been off the charts. So any opportunity to be of service, I really appreciate it. And also, Justin, thank you, because your group, Number One Offender, I have had the privilege to be able to facilitate the meditations there because of you and our sweet friend Christine. Twice, right, to be asked. I really appreciate it. Randomly, I'd gotten this Facebook message from Christine, right, saying, hey, Vanessa, there's this guy, you need to meet him. Totally genuine. His message is pure, you know, because I'm about that. I'm about the real deal, right, because doing this work is not easy. You know, and this isn't like a pie in the sky kind of thing. And she's like, you really need to meet Justin. He's authentic. He's doing the deal. He wants to help people. Would you like to meet him? And sure enough, then we spoke, and just to hear your message, because the purity of how this started was that Justin just wanted to do step 11, right? Deep meditation, how to be able to do it and do it with other people in order to really practice it up in his own life, right? And then from there, it kind of grew with other friends being there. And so it's this authentic practice of levels of consciousness. And
organically grown.
Organically grown.
Yeah,
and then
for
he
sure.
asked, he's like, would you come facilitate? And I was like, I'd be honored. Like, thank you.
After
Goodness.
a long, beautiful conversation.
Beautiful, right? Like,
She made me cry. Actually,
Yeah.
2 times I didn't even
It
tell her
was-
on the phone. I think this is the first time she knows.
Oh, trust me.
Whoa,
She,
man.
no, I mean to everybody out there, and I'm sure this will come across, but she is very disarming. You know, like you're all of a sudden, you know, I'm like, oh, wow, it's okay, and then she starts pumping you full of some positivity, and then you're like,
Amen.
oh man,
Yeah.
You get a little
Yeah,
uncomfortable,
right,
and then
yeah.
you get like, holy shit.
yeah.
Who is
no,
this
no.
lady?
No, she's good.
Oh, y'all
She's
are,
good.
Y'all are cool. I really appreciate it because we're
Yeah.
all in the dimension of the 4th dimension, right? I get to be sober today. I
Yeah.
get to be without alcohol today.
Sure.
I get to be able to see you and see Justin. I get to. It's a privilege. It's a true privilege. It's a privilege that my mom did not have. She is 6 feet under. And in the last meditation session over with number 1 offender, you know, I brought that up, and I definitely got teary-eyed, right? Because I wish my mom was up here and with us, and
Sure.
sometimes it's difficult speaking about those things, and to be in a space of the acceptance of our true feelings and our
Sure.
true emotions, and people get it, right? It's like,
well, do you want to give us? I mean, share what you want to, but I know you were you said that your mom had passed away from alcoholism. Do you want to share like a truncated version of your story, or?
absolute. And if I may, just like on a time frame, just so I can.
Yeah, we've got about how long? About
I'd say you're about 37 minutes, about half an hour.
about half an hour.
somewhere in
So
there.
yeah, and then maybe we'll get to a demonstration. So
I'd be
leave
happy
time
to.
for that. Yeah,
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, to kind of encapsulate everything that has been discussed thus far, right? Prescription drugs, I personally feel like we are overly medicated as a nation today. Period. Hard stop.
Sure.
And Western medicine definitely has its place. There's no doubt about it, right? Of course, something happens, you want to go to the hospital, you're in a car wreck, your leg's broken, you want the doctor fixing your leg up. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And on top of it, what in the world are we doing with 10-year-olds on Adderall?
Right.
Are you
right.
kidding? Like, what's that?
Sure.
What is the Tylenol 3 for a 4 or 5-year-old? Like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
And especially when there are scientific things that are out there right now. I don't know if you guys know about Wim Hof. Have y'all heard about Wim Hof, the Iceman? That's some serious stuff there, right? And he didn't even try to go out to become this international famous guy. In short, his wife had died. He was really looking for some other implementations to recover over the grief on that. And he utilizes temperature, cold, etc.
Sure.
Definitely Google him. He's also about the power of the mind, the power of our body, the power that we have within us. Because within us all, it really is about the personal story between you and your heart, the private space within your heart. And if your heart is suffering, and the only thing that you've been taught in this world is drink at it, drug at it, shop at it, do anything at it, get 4 girls at it, 5 guys at it, 10 houses at it. Listen, there are people driving a Maserati right now that are just as miserable as the person in the Impala.
Oh yeah.
There isn't a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Yeah.
Right? Period.
She's
And
I love
there's
that.
nothing wrong with having things in this world. I'd be the first person if I could. Black on black Maserati 2021, fully loaded. Let me take it to the Autobahn in Germany with Stevie Ray Vaughan playing, going
Sure.
150 miles an hour. I'm all in. It takes financial resources to do that, right? So there's nothing wrong with having.
Right.
The problem is when we implement the having and the getting and the doing and the anesthetizing to try to make us feel better. When feelings really are our truth. We know
Sure.
our feelings. We know where they are. We know when we're hurt. We know when we're little and you know what's hitting the fan and things feel so confusing. And yet everybody's telling you like it's okay and it's not okay. What do you do with that, right? So in the process of really trying to discern those feelings and those emotions, especially if you're raised in an environment, drugs and alcohol, same thing. You know, my dad's a psychiatrist. He got hooked on Dexedrine. My grandfather was knighted for building hospitals in Europe for drug addicts and alcoholics, right? And my mom, as it's been mentioned, she died an alcoholic. So I really don't care what your accolades are, what your degrees are in, nothing wrong with having them, et cetera, right? I want to know, have you done the work? Have you been there? Have you seen it? And maybe, doc, before you go and prescribe all this stuff to your patient, why don't you try some alternative means like breathing? Why don't you learn a little bit about heart math, the study of heart math? If you do breathing techniques, you can actually release your own natural chemicals within your own brain that help lower the cortisol levels.
I was
God
going to get to
forbid.
that. I read that on your website. I was like, she's talking cortisol.
Yay,
so
let me tell
there's
you.
there's actually science behind this.
There is science behind it.
Yeah.
Definitely Google heart math.
Mm-hmm.
I repeat, heart math. And I definitely Google Wim Hof, as it's already been mentioned, right? Because
Get his app.
Pardon?
Get his app.
Get his app. He does the whole breathing, what to do, follow with a count. Really cool. And there are so many different forms of meditation practice for each person. There's Zen, there's chanting, there's mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum. There's the breathing technique, breathe in 5, breathe out 7. Find what works for you.
There's Tai Chi, right?
There's Tai Chi with Brother Peter. He's going to knock it out the park next week, I'm sure.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, please tell him I said hi.
I will.
I'm
Why
going
don't
to
you
see if
just
I can.
come?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can make it. Yeah, for real.
She's busy, man. She's traveling
busy
all
saving
over.
lives.
She's traveling all over Texas. She's like, hey, I'm on the road to Austin, and then I'm on the road to Corpus Christi, and then
Well, those are some other trainings and things.
I know.
and
Hey,
you're sweet
you
and-
are in high demand.
Well,
And
I received that. Thank you very much.
yes.
And it really has been a journey. I used to live in a meditation center. That's how I met our mutual friend, Christine. I lived in the Dallas Meditation Center for about 3 years. And I had people asking me, what in the world are you doing and why would you do that? And I was like, because if I'm going to really know step 11, if I'm really going to know the fourth dimension, I really got to know the present moment. And knowing the present moment, for me, I'm not Eckhart Tolle yet. I'm not Jesus. I'm working on it. How do you love your killers while they are killing you? That's the frequency that we're talking about. And this isn't about church and this isn't about Jesus. This is about mental concentration on how do you purify your heart. Because if I'm sitting right here in Dallas, but I'm chewing on that resentment that happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, no one's suffering but me.
Sure.
So how do I get over that suffering? And drinking at it didn't solve it. Drinking at it only suppresses it, right?
Yeah.
But if you're taught from a world that we're raised in, drink at it, look at it, it's good, you're good. Oh,
Yeah.
tequila, beer, vodka, go, 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 go. And so you reach for this thing to try to help you. But I'm going to use this example because it's just a great example. It's a diabolical contract with the devil. Period.
Okay.
They call it spirits for a reason, right? And this is just a great analogy,
Sure.
right? When one drinks that spirit has you. And so then it does take these beautiful people like my mother, like my dad, and those are not them. Those are meaning like when my mom was loaded or when my dad was high as a kite on Dexedrine, shooting guns underneath my bedroom floor until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Pop, 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 pop. right? He built a gun gallery in our house.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense, dude. And then took our cat and blew its brains out in the backyard.
all
Yeah,
right.
for real. We got to keep it real here, right?
Sure.
You know, Houston, we had a problem.
Yeah.
That wasn't my beautiful, amazing, psychiatric trained dad who helped I don't know how many people.
Sure.
That was an evil spirit in this man that took him over, blew up our house, blew up our family, blew up everything, and I ended up leaving home at 15.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So this is a no joke kind of thing. And the problem is that when we see those spirits running, metaphorically speaking,
Sure.
in the other people, the worst thing you can do is try to point it out to them because
Right.
it almost empowers the spirit in them, right? And then to take the hands off to say, okay, well, they might die. I'm not going to say anything. Al-Anon, thank God for Al-Anon. Any of the family members that are out there, if you have alcoholics in your family, go to Al-Anon. If you're an adult child of an alcoholic, go to ACOA. They're very helpful. But when you have to have that process of taking the hands off the addict or the alcoholic, you're actually doing the best favor possible for them because they are the only one who can wake up that they have a spirit inside of them that's out to kill them, kill their family, kill anything and everything that's going on in their world. And again, I use that analogy metaphorically speaking, but it sure does land, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sure does land. So, you know, for me, growing up in all of this, as a little girl, I'm outside Garden District, New Orleans. You know, it looks really pretty. Well, let me tell you, just because it's a pretty house on the outside doesn't mean there isn't a whole lot of hell going on the inside.
Right.
So be very mindful with people, you know, because even though it might be all picture perfect, you just don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. And so that process as a little girl, in that sense of there must be something different. It can't be this. It just can't be this, you know, especially my mom remarried this guy named Dr. Joseph Beasley, and he was one of the founders of family planning and Planned Parenthood. He did all sorts of stuff. Was funded by the Kellogg Foundation, wrote the Kellogg Report, Kellogg cereals. Brilliant guy,
Yeah.
right? Used to beat her to a pulp, and he was my perpetrator.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't really much matter if someone has the right degrees or the right whatever.
Right.
You know,
if
what-
they look good on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they really doing?
Sure.
You know, I think it's one of the reasons why my mom had such a hard time giving up the booze because one, she didn't have the tools of recovery. She didn't have that awakening. And I don't think she really wanted to awaken because the shame. How in the hell did I end up here on the floor with this man plummeting me
Yeah.
like this and doing X, Y, and Z to my daughter?
Yeah.
So in a way, thank God she had the alcohol because it helped her live through that.
Right.
And then in the end, it got her.
Sure.
You know, it got her.
Right.
So
I
Go
always
ahead.
like to say, you know, alcohol is a temporary solution, and I stress temporary until that solution becomes the problem. So,
Amen.
you know,
Amen. And that's such a great phrase. It is.
Yeah.
It's a temporary solution to a permanent problem. And
Yeah.
then in recovery, we get to be in the permanent solution to the temporary problem. What's the permanent solution? Right now, if we all would, let's just take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Let's inhale and exhale. And if you would, one more last time, top of the head, neck, shoulders, torso, chest, all within your being. Your being. You're a human being. You're not a human doing. Breathe. Let go. Surrender. Tap in to something greater than yourself. That is within yourself. That's here, right now, present. It makes the sun rise, the stars shine, and that beautiful heartbeat in the baby's womb, in mother's womb. Deep breath, deep breath. You've got this. You know, when the mother's pregnant and the heart's formed and the lungs are there and the blood is there, to this day, they have no idea what starts the first, the thump, the heartbeat. Boom, bam. The miracle of life. This life. Deep breath. Your life. Exhale everything and anything that no longer serves you. Let it go. No need to drink at it. No need to use at it. Call somebody. Share about it appropriately. Inventory. Trust. Surrender. Surrender the pain. Surrender the suffering. Surrender the fear. There's only 2 frequencies, fear or faith. Deep breath. Exhale, let it go. Choose faith. You don't need to know. You don't need to worry. Worrying is praying for the very thing that you don't want. Detach from it. Let go. Get present. Step 11, right now. Choose. Deep breath. Exhale. Detach from that situation that's causing you angst. Detach from that person that's causing you upset. Detach from the heartbreak of the lover that you loved so much but wouldn't stop drinking. Deep breath. Exhale. Send love. Send love to everyone, everywhere. Because if you hold the angst in your heart, you are choosing hell. Let go of that frequency. Deep breath. Choose heaven. Choose peace. Choose forgiveness. Forgiveness is a female dog. It is not easy forgiving the unforgivable. I trained with a man, deep breath, named Azim Kamisa. You need to know of him. He forgave the killer of his only son. How did he do it? Through God, through practice. He now travels the world with the killer, the grandfather of the killer. They're all together on stage talking about how forgiveness is the only way to roll. People aren't doing things to you. They're just doing it. Deep breath. Due to their level of consciousness, due to their level of ignorance, due to their level of hurt and pain. Deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. When people do negative actions, they're showing you their pain. They don't need your resentment. They need your prayers. They need your compassion. They need your love. Deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Forgiveness is a process. But me holding on to that resentment, we all know that phrase, is me drinking the poison, expecting someone else to die. And I'm not here to be the residual effects of someone else's ignorance anymore or someone else's actions anymore. Deep breath. Exhale. Let that go. So God bless my stepfather, who used to beat my beautiful mother to a pulp. God bless him because he was suffering. God bless him for the scar he placed upon my body. God bless him. God bless him because he was suffering. But I'm free. I'm free. I have forgiven. I have let go. I have forgiven. I have let go. And I don't drink at him anymore because he's not worth it. He needs my prayers, not my resentment. Is there someone in your life you're resentful at? Let it go. Do whatever you need to do. Deep breath. Exhale. There's this thing called car therapy. One last deep breath. Inhale. Top of the head, neck, shoulders. Roll them back. Right into the center of your heart, your own personal heart. Is it in love? Is it in peace? The privacy of your own heart. What's your truth? Find it. If it's not a frequency of love, let it go. You gotta let it go. You gotta realign to the 4th dimension, to the divine that's here to help you, hold you, love you, care for you. It gave you that heartbeat in the beginning. Remember your mother's womb, this miracle called life. Deep breath. Exhale. So there's this thing called car therapy. You're going to love this.
Yeah.
That person, place, or thing that you might have that resentment toward.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down in your car, save you thousands of dollars. I've done all the therapy. I've done all that stuff too. You know, I had to do a lot of therapy wrapping my head around my stepdad, but I did it. And anyway, I wish I would have known about car therapy a lot sooner. Mm-hmm. You go in the car, you roll up the windows, and you drive to some remote place. And you pretend that person's there. You see them, you smell them, they're there. And I mean, I don't care how long you need, an hour, 2 hours, let it rip. You son of a bitch. Let it rip. All this prim and proper. Oh, let's do therapy. We're going to be fine and everything's good. Nothing wrong with therapy. Therapy's
Sure.
great. Please do know about Jungian psychology. It's based off of our 12-step program, right? And do some car therapy. where you got to be real with your emotions. Emotare. You got to get these things out because these are the things that we drank at. We drank at these people. We drank at those feelings. We used at those things.
Now I noticed also on the website. I mean, like I was like getting into the whole meditation. Now I'm like, oh, I actually have to host the show.
Meditation
but you were
works.
saying something about Reiki. Now, what was that
wow.
kind of? Yeah, I saw. Well, you weren't saying it, but your website was.
I appreciate you. Yes, I am trained. I was very fortunate. There's a true Reiki master in Sedona. I happen to meet her, and it's a long story. Won't go into that now.
Yeah.
But she was a true sensei, trained in the mountains in Japan. Real deal.
Right.
So it took me about 3 years because I was traveling back and forth between here and Dallas. Dallas and Sedona.
Sure.
To do the training with her. It usually doesn't take that long.
Sure.
And she did. She trained me from head to toe in Reiki. I am a Reiki master. And I'm not the Reiki master out of a YouTube video box chick. I'm like the one who stayed with the sensei, trained with the sensei, all of the symbols, but there was also all sorts of, there was work in that.
I could, I mean, your website, I'm like, oh man, that's fascinating.
That's really sweet
that's
for
fascinating.
you to mention that.
It's that's fascinating.
Oh, well,
yeah, but if anybody is out there just listening to the audio portion, I want you to go to her website, check it out, book her. She is a magnificent person. And that would be Vanessa Guild, but it's spelt Guild. So VanessaGuild.com, but when you're typing it in, say Guild. Fair enough?
Fair enough, absolutely.
And then also, I want to thank Justin for coming out and sharing your story with us. And I'm looking forward to this Sunday. Once again, that is number NO.1 offender. And that's a Facebook group. And it's all.
There's a page and a group.
Yeah. Go to the group.
Go to the group.
Go to the group. And that gives you all the updates on. Do you do updates on like who's coming up? And
yeah. So I try. I do my very best to get people to come out. It's all. It's all pretty much been word of mouth, but I will do updates on who's coming out, and I think we have the next two.
Yeah, you're kind of like me with the show. I'm like, oh well, man, if I have three weeks booked out in a row, I'm like overachieving, you know.
yeah, and hopefully we can get her back out. In the next
for sure. I would love it.
Be honored.
I would love it, and I'll be there. Hey, real quick, I also want to hit our sponsor, real quick, Summer Sky, which I went to. If you want to reach out to them for help, that's summersky.us, and their phone number is 888-857-8857. Once again, 888-857-8857. If you are watching this or listening to this, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's what a lot of people look at, and I guess numbers matter. But, and then if you ever want to be on the show or know somebody that would be a good fit to be on the show, hit me up. I'm pretty open. And, I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. Any plugs y'all need to do? I mean, we hit your website. And then what about, you never really mentioned anything about your chefing.
Well,
I'll
do a shameless plug.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I've got an elotes cart
that
I bought. It's been like 4 years now. But the idea behind it, it's called Rise Above, loosely based off of a old Black Flag song.
Gotcha.
And meaning behind it, but it's an elotes cart. I hire men and women in sobriety.
Cool.
To come work it. So we're trying to get that thing up and running. There's little technical difficulties on it right now, but we do parties, we do events, whatever.
Right.
It's a small little elotes cart. So we do some pretty banging elotes, and I want to I want to throw out just a quick thank you to Smoking Gun, my home group, and my sponsor Brian Percox, who's been like a
game
like a daddy.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like someone who's really helped me out a lot. So
cool. All right.
And if I may, really quick,
Yes, of
definitely
course.
hire up Brother Justin here for any of your chef or event needs. You could
Right.
not find a more exceptional chef person to roll for that for you. It'll be a stellar event if you have him on board. He knows he's so humble, but this boy can cook and he will knock it out of the park for you. And for
Right.
those of you that are out there, please do sign on to the Pink Cloud. The pleasure
This
of meeting
Pink
this
Cloud-
Pink Cloud.
.com, and
.com.
that'll take you to the URL.
Yes, because Kelly's intentions truly are the same as Brother Justin's, which is getting the good message out there, the good
And
that works.
helping folks.
And
like
helping
we're all
folks.
trying to do.
And
here.
isn't that the wealth of life
Yes.
if we just help one person at a time?
That's how it goes out, right?
That's
There
how
we
it
go.
goes
Starts in the
out
house.
by grace
love
of God.
It, love it, love it, love it. Well, so thanks for coming out. And then, and if y'all want, of course, if you want to support, you can go to djkellyreverb.com. I happen to be a DJ as well.
Hey.
And then you hit the shop button, and that's where we have all our fun shirts. But other than that, I can't thank you guys enough for coming out. I'd love to have y'all both back. I'll
be
see
great.
you for sure on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then other than that, just remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many. There you go.
Don't